What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to my very first live stream on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. So, in today's live, what we're going to do is we're going to go over a bunch of different information. Okay. I'm going to do a high level overview of what I have for all of my market reports. I have the actual PDF file here with all of the information. I have a bunch of different news articles opened up, as well as the MLS. So the goal with this live stream today is to actually go through, share a little bit of information, and have some fun, right? This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. So just work with me, ask questions, and let's just have a good time, right? Let's use this opportunity to connect with one another and just have, fun. I don't know. This is my first one. So if you're rewatching this, I'm going to try to chapter it. Probably cannot do that, but we'll see what we could do. So again, like mentioned, what I'm going to do with this live stream is I'm actually going to go through super high level, what's going on in the market, what I see, kind of how I'm perceiving things live time in this market. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of dive into certain things. So if you have any questions, go ahead and comment. I'm going to try and go back and forth and, try to look at all the different platforms and just figure out where people are asking the questions and go from there. So work with me and I'll work with you and let's just have a good time. Let's go, baby. I saw that comment there. Now, here is the total residential chart for the entire city of Calgary. Okay. This is actually crazy. So we started off the year with a pretty rock solid sales versus inventory. Pricing was continuing to go up. There was projections that the interest rate was going to fall and everything was just fine and dandy. All of a sudden the stampede hit here in the city. And next thing you know, everything is just slowed right the heck down. Now, why is that, right? Why is the price now starting to fall when at the beginning of the year, we just anticipated this to go up and up and up? Well, there's a lot of different factors into that. So let's kind of just dive through some of the numbers first, and then I'll give you my high level understanding of what is actually happening in this market. Okay. So if you want to watch some of my past videos, I'll most likely get into more detail in those videos than in this live stream. This live stream is just a conversation that I want to have with you guys, right? I'm going to go over this information and then I'm going to actually share what my thoughts are. So I actually have my first question here. You're getting the market data from Quadrant or the Calgary Real Estate Board? I'm actually getting the market data from the Calgary Real Estate Board. Very, very lucky realtor. It is a really good market report. It shows a lot of solid information. And it has allowed me to build up this brand and this business because they have given me these rock solid market reports, right? So now my job here is to just try to decipher them. So as we can see here, right, June, this was the month of the stampede, right? So when the market started slowing down, we start to see it every single year, right? June kind of comes around, all of a sudden things slow down, no big deal, right? But when we started to see some more slowdowns in July and now August, it really started to raise my eyebrows that, wow, this market is actually legitimately slowing down, right? There is a huge pressure on price, especially in the springtime. A lot of people went into a frenzy and a lot of people were anticipating that pricing was not going to slow down. But as soon as that summer month hit here in Calgary, we noticed that slowdown. And one of the main reasons why I think that is because the market really went out of control for the last about 2-3-ish years. So a lot of pent up demand in the market, especially going into 2021. And then all of a sudden it just took off. We had 1 month, I think, where we had 40,000 people move to Calgary, right? So I don't personally think that this market is over yet. I think we're actually far from over. I think that people will maybe argue that and speak differently. But when you start to look at some political things that are happening and some of the growth that Canada's having, I think that we're going to see some more increases, especially going into 2025. So I'll go on record and say that. Now, Let's start to look at some of these stuff again. I'm going to just keep this super high level because I don't want to dive into too much of the granulars, because I'm going to try to go over all property types as well as some of those news reports at the end. So I would imagine that this video is probably going to be about an hour long. So strap in, because I am fully planning on having a conversation with me, myself, and I, and hopefully some of you are actually going to comment below and ask me some questions, because that's the whole point of this market report, right? Again, I have the market report opened up here, and then I've got all the shots that I've taken here. And what I should do is I should actually make this a little smaller, because I have the MLS open. Now I can't share specific details about a property without the homeowner's permission. But if you're looking at getting data for a community or a quadrant, go ahead and comment that. Ask like what's going on in this area. And if I feel like it's actually in line with what I'm currently talking about, like let's go look at the market together, right? Like let's have this conversation. That's the whole point of this live that we will have once a month on the 14th of every month at 6 p.m. MST. So let's get after it. Now, new listings in Calgary, right? It's really great to see, new listings come to the market. I actually talked about this quite a bit at the beginning of the year, saying that we needed more new listings. We got that. Now we need more new buyers, because if you want to find that more balanced market condition, we're going to have a little bit more buyers, because if the buyers completely stop, which is unlikely because we had some rate reductions, then we're going to see some pretty crazy price reductions going into the winter, but most likely a rebound in spring in 2025. So new listings, we're right on that 10-year average. Looking at basically a 10-year overview, you can see that the colors are broken down into detached. We've seen an increase in detached new listings. We've seen an increase in apartment new listings. Semi-detached are looking roughly the same, and townhouse are looking roughly the same. So when we look at total sales, right? Total sales of the last 4 years have been relatively on par. Year-to-date sales. So all the sales accumulated over the last 8-9 months. Looking at this total number, 2022, this is the year that we really start to took off. What I might do next month is actually look at more historical graphs. So if people are asking questions about like what they see and how they view things, then absolutely ask that, and then we can pull that data up. So sales by price range, right? This is very fascinating. This is actually super fascinating to me, right? If you look at this bottom bar here, you can see 2021 is blue, 2022 is green, 2023, 2024. Big outlier here is look at the increase from 2021 to 2024, like almost double, right? Or over double, right? We had 2,000 year-to-date sales in this 3 bracket price range. Now look at, we're over 4,000, right? So it's pretty dramatic how much of a shift we've seen, right? In 2021, detached homes on average were like in those 5s still, right? Now the average detached home is looking at around 750 and up. So a really huge change here in the last little while. Look at this one here as well. 2021, we saw a massive amount of homes being sold in that $400,000 price range, and it's completely dropped off. This is just a clear indicator that the market is starting to shift into that higher end price point. Love your videos. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that, brother. This is also really cool. You can see that the under $200,000 has just completely died off. But when I was actually doing research here, there actually still is homes listed under 200,000. Like I was actually pretty shocked to see this. So there's 51 homes, right? If we look at the MLS here, right? Again, I'm not able to show specific data like the address, the MLS number, or anything like that. I'm not even sharing my screen. Oh man, I'm not even sharing my screen. Oh dude, this is great. I've been like talking about this for like 8 minutes and I'm not even sharing my freaking screen. Oh my God, I can't believe you guys have just been listening to me jab and gab for like minutes. Oh, that's crazy. If I ever do that again for all of these people watching, like if I'm just like talking about charts, like stop me and be like, yo, bro, you're not even showing what the hell you're talking about. That is awesome. This is the perfect point that I want to talk out to realtors. Yo, if you are like talking about things, the first time you're always going to make mistakes. So don't even stress it. I'm going to turn up this background music because I actually really am jamming out to this a little bit. So, yo, anyone who stuck it through this first 8-9 minutes of me just looking at the camera and like not sharing charts, like shout out to you guys. Like full on. I can't believe I just spent almost 10 minutes just talking about this and not sharing my freaking chart. So huge outlier, 7 to 900. Look at the difference here. You know, back in 2021, we had really low sales. 2024, look at how high those sales are. Again, I talked about the $400,000 price range. Look at how much of a decrease that is now. And then I also showed in 2021, we had over or under $200,000 sales. Now we're dipped right down. So what I did is I pulled up the MLS here and I wanted to show all of the sales. Like if we just remove the apartments, there's still 53 listings that are under 200,000, right? It's actually quite crazy, right? If you look at the market here, for those of you who are more or less looking to like get an investment property or try to find a good low end product because you just want to own real estate, like they still exist here in Calgary. Like if I just go and market it like this, like there's still a 3-bed, 2-bath in Erwin. Now I would imagine, yeah, it's a civil enforcement. So obviously it's a court ordered sale, but they're still out there, right? Like you still have like all of these 2-beds under $200,000, which is cool to see in Calgary. I don't know how long this is going to last, but that's the whole point of these videos, is because I want to show you guys all of this stuff behind the scenes. Now, let's see what we got here. Any questions? Nothing yet. Awesome. Like I said before, ask your questions. So let's continue to go through these charts. Total sales by price range, right? Not going to touch on this too much because I do want to kind of break it down into property type. Not going to touch on total residential too much either. If we zoom in here, right, we can see in the last little while, right, we have seen a slowdown for the benchmark price. We hit our peak in June. The benchmark price was 608 and now it's dropped to 601. So the market is clearly slowing down. And at the beginning of this video, I actually had this pulled up and I didn't even have it sharing on the screen. So that's friggin' awesome. But here we are now, and this is great. So we are learning and we are going to move on. Okay, hold on. I want to change this here to circle because I like the circle. And yeah, so again, ask questions. This is the whole point of this Instagram live, is to ask your questions. Let's move forward here. The questions are delayed, I think, by the way. So I think you're maybe watching this live stream about 30 seconds-ish after I say this. So if you ask a question and it's like taking me a while to respond, that's why. So let's continue on. Again, high level overview, looking at the city, kind of cool stuff. You want to look at the different sectors in Calgary. This is total residential, right? We have the West still priced at about 724. Still have the East priced at 443, right? Still very affordable product. But like I've said in a lot of my videos, right? You want to make sure you're getting those benchmark attributes into place, right? Like there is a very large difference between certain homes in certain quadrants. Like if I go to the townhouse market, because I just remember this off the top of my head, like the benchmark attribute for a townhouse doesn't even have a garage, right? So when you start to look at this benchmark price of townhouses in Northeast, and then you're thinking, okay, well, obviously the North's going to be more expensive. You have to overlay those attributes, because if you add a garage in Northeast, clearly the price is going to be higher than the benchmark attribute, right? More often, there are more townhouses in the Northeast that don't have a garage. And that's one of the reasons why they didn't actually add the garage into the attributes. It's kind of silly. I really want the city to come out with like a bare bones flat average across the entire city and actually see the proper price point from there. So it is what it is. Now let's continue on. Just want to make sure everything is being taken care of. Okay, cool. Now, benchmark price, right? This is, again, talking about those attributes. Total residential, we're still up 31,000 from last year, 65,000 in the single family, 58,000 in the semis, 48,000 from last year in the townhouse, and 37 in apartments. Now, you look at these months, right? We're down 52, down 67, down 25. So we are seeing some slowdowns going into the winter season, and I would honestly imagine that we're probably going to continue to see this trend. September, you know, the demographic typically changes. Usually we have people kind of switching, right? Empty nesters looking to sell their product. People starting to pick up new investment product just because students have moved out and the leases are not really up until the end of August. So now they put on their investment property. So investors are typically a little bit more hungry in September. So there might be a little bit of a shift and a little bit of in like uptick in activity, but I don't think it's going to be enough to offset some of these losses that we have. Now, on that point, I did actually talk about this before in every one of my videos. The Bank of Canada reduced its interest rate. Now, I ran some scenarios and I thought this was super cool. So I ran some scenarios looking at the different benchmark prices, right? So you got single family benchmark price of 762. So with that 0.25% rate reduction, people can, if they were looking to either get on a variable mortgage, right, and they're kind of riding that wave, or they're looking at getting into the market before and after this rate reduction, they're looking at if at this price point, they're looking at a difference about $102 per month savings in interest rate at this price point with a 5% down, right? And their buying power actually increased by around 19,000. So that's kind of cool, right? The interest rates are definitely going to play an effect into the Calgary real estate market. Now, I can't speak on Toronto, I can't speak on Vancouver, but at the end of the day, they still affect Calgary and all those other markets. Now, there was talk about a 0.5% interest rate reduction. And if that happened, that would have been wild, right? We would have seen, I personally believe that we would have seen a small frenzy in Calgary. So at this price point, right, at 0.25, this is an average written by ChatGPT. Take this with a grain of salt. This is not perfect. But if they were to reduce, you would have saw almost double the increase in buying power, which would have allowed people to bid a little higher on homes that they like, in turn increasing the price point in Calgary. So the more that we see price reductions going in the Bank of Canada, I would assume that we're most likely going to see increases in the price point in Calgary, because Calgary is a focal point for a lot of people right now, both buyers and investors. So as the Bank of Canada continues to reduce interest rates, I would assume that we're going to see a increase in price point. So let's just peek through here. No questions yet. Like I said, guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. That's the whole point of this video. I don't want to just preach and talk and not share my screen and just ramble on at you. But if you have specific questions, that's the point of this video, right? So this is really cool. I love this. Every single month I talk on this, right? I call it the macro economic breakdown. That's just what I call it. Call it whatever you want. But this is a nice little breakdown for each individual quadrant in the city and then each individual property type. So obviously your eyes will most likely look at the right-hand side, right? Where I have physically and personally put in all of the actual price reductions or increases in those markets. And one of the biggest outliers that I see right now, sorry, I just locked my screen. One of the biggest outliers that I see right now, and I need to reshare my screen and be careful not to do that again, is Calgary West. Calgary West, ready for this? Let me just scroll down here a little bit. No, I had this open. Look at this. I've already screwed up. Let me just open up this one again. Man, I'm loving these tunes. Calgary West, look at this. So in the month of August, when we got this report, they saw a $10,000 decrease. Now in the month of, in the months of September, which is August numbers, we saw another $13,000 increase, right? They saw on average, the benchmark price drop by $23,000 in 2 months, 60 days. So pretty wild stuff that the Western quadrant of Calgary is seeing. Now they always have more price fluctuations because they're so expensive, right? You see these little steady eddy, a little bit more of a less expensive community don't have such heavy shifts, right? City center, Calgary West are always going to have higher fluctuations, especially when you compare them to places like Calgary East. But when we start to look at just this month compared to last month, look at all the reductions that we saw, right? Is this going to be a continued trend going into the winter? Most likely, right? If we just look at the sales to new listings ratio, right, we're at 64%. You know, that's still like a fairly healthy market, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, that is way down from like the 80% that we were seeing in the springtime. Back when there was this massive frenzy, we had all these people bidding on properties left, right, and center, over ask, unconditional, 10 offers on one house. It's changed. It is very different now. Homes that are priced correctly are still going to sell relatively fast. Homes that are priced accordingly, that have good marketing, and any single market will sell within the first 7 to 14 days, guaranteed, doesn't matter the market condition. But the majority of homes and the majority of people are still in the mindset of where we were 3 months ago because they don't watch the numbers, right? They think the market's going nuts. It has still and is still considered to be at a higher pace of movement than what we've seen over the last many years, but it is very different than what we've seen 3 months ago. So let's see if anyone's asked any questions. No. Okay, right on. So, we start to see like city center, Northeast, 56%, 53% sales to new listing ratio, right? We even have some 40% apartments in Northeast. There was only 39 sales with 84 new listings in Northeast. So again, if you're looking in certain areas, you're a buyer or an investor or a seller, you want to put these into practice because you really want to make sure that you know what you're getting into when you're getting into the market, because you could absolutely use these numbers for your benefit, right? Like that's the whole point of being a data-driven client, a data-driven, purposed realtor. Really helps the clients excel. So let's continue to move forward here and talk about some other things. I really like this chart. Didn't really jive with it too much at the beginning when I was looking at these things, but this is a really good total price change chart. So this red bar is basically where I'm looking, right? So if we look here, right, the biggest increases that we saw for the total residential in Calgary was 15% year over year, right? When the benchmark price for single family homes and total residential in Calgary was like 500,000, we saw massive spikes in price, right? Then we slowed down, right? Year over year, we dropped to about 1%. And that is mainly due to the aggressive Bank of Canada interest rate increases that we had over that period. So if we actually look at this chart here, 2022 saw some pretty intense price declines because the Bank of Canada increased the rate so quickly that people are like, what is going on? Put the brakes on it. We need to figure out how this market's going to adjust. So you can see in 2023, it just took off again, right? We started to see that price go up rapidly. But when you start to look at here, it did dip down, right? So where am I going with this? You can see that over the last, call it 12 months, we still peaked at about 8 to 9% year over year increases. So we're still in positive territory. We're not in negative. We haven't been in negative territory since mid to late 2020, right? You can see that 2019 to 2020, mid 2020, we were in negative territory. Year over year, pricing was falling, right? Now, if we go over to this section, we are noticing pricing is still year over year increases, but we're going down pretty quickly in terms of the year over year growth. So this is a chart that I believe is going to dip down really close to this, right? I'm pretty sure that we're going to see it go down to, that 4 to 3% year over year, but I'm pretty confident that we are going to go right back up to around 5 to 6 to 7% in spring 2025. But that will also depend on how much this benchmark price decreases, right? If the benchmark does see a pretty gnarly dip in Calgary, we will notice the year over year, drop down quite a bit. But I just don't think it's going to get to the point where it's actually fallen below years past, right? So the increase is actually a negative. So if you want to dive into that, let me know. So I'm going to do a quick browse here, see what we've got. 0 live watchers on Instagram. So IG, thanks for the love. But I see I've got about 9 viewers on YouTube. So thank you guys. Again, this whole point of this video is for you to engage with me, right? I'm about 25 minutes into it. We're just getting started. I'm imagining this is going to be about an hour long. This is supposed to be a conversation, right? I don't want it to be more of a presentation, but I would love it to be more of a conversation. So if you have any questions, you go ahead and you ask, and we'll go from there. I'm just going to give this a quick reload, see what we're dealing with here. Nice. Perfect. Let's get her moving. Okay. So total residential, right? High level. We know what the market's doing. It's slowing down. But is it actually slowing down in all property types? For the most part, yeah, right? Like I can pretty much just say every single property type, for the most part, is absolutely seeing slowdown. The biggest surprise that I've seen is townhouses, because townhouses are still affordable, but they've increased so much that I think some people are just a little bit concerned that they don't want to get in the market right now, just because, again, interest rates are falling, but at the same time now prices are falling. So maybe it is a good time to wait a little bit. Let's try to see what's happening in the market. But with that being said, I've said this before, there is no timing the market, right? It's almost near impossible to try to time the market, right? If you're an investor out there right now, I'd probably hold off and wait. Personally, I'd probably hold off and wait. But if you're a buyer right now and you're looking at buying your first house, I would say that, it is always the best time to get in the market when you're ready. When you find that house that actually makes sense for you, if the numbers align, you're happy with your mortgage, you're happy with the price, just get into the market, right? Don't try to wait for another perfect property to come on. Like if you find one that you like, go after it, right? If you're ready, make that commitment, pull the trigger and run. If you're a seller, little bit of a different story, right? It really depends on your personal situation once again. Right now, the market is starting to slow down a little bit. It's still a fantastic time to sell your home. You just have to price it accordingly, right? You don't want it to be in this position where you are kind of stuck, right? And then all of a sudden you put your home on the market at a higher price point compared to some homes in your area that have been on the market a little bit longer than what they should have been. You're in this mindset that we're still going through the same stuff that we went through in the spring. We're kind of not, right? We're kind of slowing down. So you want to make sure that you're getting the information that makes the most sense to you, and you're actually targeting that in a way that's going to be beneficial. So let's continue on here. Let's see, still 0 viewers on IG. So Instagram, just no love. In terms of the detached, okay, again, we're not going to spend a lot of time here because I do want to kind of talk about some of these news articles that I thought are kind of cool. Detached, look at this, boom, right? We're seeing this pretty common across the entire board. Detached has seen a correction. Is it a big correction? Not really. Are we going to scream from the roofs? No, the market's just slowing down. The market's going to slow down going right into the winter season. It happens every single year. I would imagine we're probably going to flatline somewhere. I cannot see us falling in price, right? Yes, there might be some corrections. We might even go back to like April or March, right? April or May. We don't know exactly how much it's going to correct, but I just don't think it's going to correct that much, right? It is pretty crazy to see this inventory and sales get so large, right? Especially when, at the beginning of the year, March, April, it was just so nutty, right? It was pretty crazy to see just how limited inventory was on the market. We're not going to read this. We're not going to go through this. We're not going to go through that. We're not going to touch about the sales, the new listings again. Year to date, new listings were a bit below, right? You remember when I was saying all of those price reductions year over year in 2019 and 2020, look at how many listings that we had here. And then if we look at the sales, right, we had relatively low sales as well. Just a little bit of history for you. This is kind of cool. This month's of supply. So we're just going to look at here, right? Going to go look through here, see if we got anything. Oh, I got 2 viewers on IG now. Shout out to IG. Okay. Let's kind of switch back here. Months of supply, really cool months of supply. I love this chart. I think it's just a really good, fast glimpse of how the market is doing, right? Anything under about 2 months of supply is a seller's market. Anything in around 2 to 3.5 months is a balanced market. And anything over 4 is a buyer's market, right? If you look at condos in Calgary and Toronto right now, the last I heard, they were at 8%, right? Like super aggressive buyer's market, lots of inventory in the Toronto area. Right now, Calgary's still in a seller's market. Yes, we're seeing slowdowns. Yes, we're seeing, price corrections. But at the same time, for those of you who are actually pricing your property correctly, there are a lot of good opportunities for you to sell. It's still a seller's market. The negotiations and the leverage should still be on the seller side, but it is starting to shift towards the buyer. So it's so important that either you're looking at all the data as a buyer, you're looking at how long it's been on the market and what sold comparables are on that community. As a seller, it's very important that you look at the community, you see how fast things are moving in that area, what those prices are, and how you can best strategize to get your home sold relatively fast. Cool? Cool. So looking at this, right? City centers always got the highest months of supply. It's just one of the biggest quadrants. There's a lot of product there as well. For the detached sector, they're pretty expensive homes, right? So you're looking at an upper echelon of demographic when you look into Calgary. When you look at other places like, northeast as well as east. So if we look at this bar across the bottom here, you can see all of the color coordinations. They're actually inching above 2 months, right? I haven't seen that in a while. Again, it's still a seller's market, but it's definitely a lot more in favor of the buyer than what it was a little while ago. You can still see if you're looking in southeast, south or west, right? It's still around 1.5 months. So there's still movement there. It's still relatively quick. So it's not as if in favor for the buyer as it is the seller, especially in those communities. It's a really cool tune. Instant home evaluation. I'm going to throw it out there 30 minutes into the call. Instant home evaluation. If anyone's on this right now and they want to know how much their home is valued at, super cool AI platform. You can just go to the link in the description. You can look up Calgary.check your home value. It's me. I look at it. You know how many people I call? Not very many. It's really, really bad. I need to be a little bit better on introducing myself to those who are using the service. There's a lot of people that use it, and I just am so grateful of everyone that has done that. So kudos to you. Shout out to everyone who I haven't called yet. And hopefully we can make an introduction. City of Calgary, detached properties, again, pretty obvious. We've seen a decrease in that year-over-year price. We're still at like 8-9% year-over-year. So we're still in like that positive year-over-year growth, but we are noticing a decline. It's slowing down. The year-over-year growth is not as aggressive as it was last year. Okay. Price point, right? I've said this in videos. 2021, flatline going into the end of the year. 2022, decrease going into the end of the year. 2023, slower growth going into the end of the year. 2024, we're probably going to see a little bit of a decrease with a flat line. I would assume we're going to see some increases. Okay, probably going to see some increases. Let's see what we got here. Shout out to my 2 IG viewers. I don't know why that's so important to me, but I'm just amazed that I can stream this on all sorts of platforms. Okay, let's quickly touch on the apartment sector. Again, I just want to bust through this super quick because I want to talk about some news articles. And I'm hoping that people ask me questions, right? That's the whole point of this live stream right now. Let's see if we got here. What do we got? No comments. Come on, guys. Where are you at? Where are you from? Tell me where you're from. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you want to know. I don't want to just sit here and talk the entire time. I will. But at the same time, the whole point of this is try to communicate with you, right? Show a little bit of my personality. Try to help you understand what's going on in this market. And ask questions. Like I said, I have the MLS open here, right? I'm not going to show specific information about certain listings specifically, but I can go over and I can look up a lot of information about communities, how fast things are moving, which price points are most aggressive right now. Like I said, just ask. So we're going to go look at the apartments, right? This is pretty crazy. This is actually quite a shock to me. Look at the massive amount of inventory versus the sales, right? Last year, this is like still seller's market territory, super aggressive. We saw price increases all throughout the year. We didn't even slow down, right? We went boom, 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 January, February, March, April, May. Now we're starting to slow down. This is literally, I wish I actually prepared for this better. This is literally the first time in like 2 years that we've noticed like this much of a 2-month slowdown in price. Like Calgary apartments have absolutely boomed over the last little while. And I don't think we're going to see too much of a slowdown in this apartment sector. We are going to notice a lot more listings. There is a news article that I actually brought to this call that talks about like housing starts and all the things that are coming in that realm. So are we going to see some decreases? Maybe going into the winter months. Are we going to see like mass corrections? Highly doubt it. Okay. Looking at that benchmark, looking at that Bank of Canada interest rate decrease, right? Looking at condos priced between 346. Now, this is an interesting one because condos have condo fees. So you need to put that into the equation when you're talking about this with a mortgage professional, which I am not, I'm a realtor. So, if we're looking at that 0.25 decrease, right, you're looking at around a $46 a month savings, right, give or take, talk to your professional, as well as a $9,000 increase in buying power, right? So you are seeing a little bit more of a buying power if you are noticing that decrease. Now, I mentioned before, if they did that 0.5 decrease that we were talking about, you're getting that double, right? You're getting an increase of 18,000 and then a savings of $92 a month, right? At that 346 price point. Cool. Let's continue on. Listings, sales, listings, boom. Look at this, right? Look at the year-to-date sales, right, that we had in this historical market of Calgary, right? We actually went through some crazy stuff. What was that building? Shoot. Oh, dude, I actually want to look this up now. I'm actually going to pull something up on my email, which is not showing. Just give me a second here. There was a building that I want to show you guys. Okay, perfect. Quick update. There was an email here. Perfect. I can't click that. Realtor.sailing. Come on. This is so important for anyone who's communicating with me. Do not send me realtor.sailings. Send me MLS numbers, because the MLS numbers are just so much more advantageous for me to look up information. So 0815. Okay, I don't know how much information I can get into here. So 0815. Okay, this was so cool. This was an apartment. Yeah, there's 75 sales. Okay, let's go here. Am I still sharing this? Go back to my studio here. Okay, perfect. This is a cool example of what happened in Calgary. So this, if you're gonna get something from this call, this is it, right? So let's actually go over here. Let's go close date. Okay, I think this was the building. So you got a 325 and a 430 sale in 2024. Okay, if we go down here, 429. We had a 429 sale in 2013. Oh, we got a question. Perfect. We had a 429 sale in 2013. Okay, we scroll down even further, a 409 in 2012. Okay, let's go even further than that. I think it was actually a townhouse now that I think of it. But you could see like 347, right, in 2003, right? 2003, it totally was a townhouse. It wasn't actually this one. But there was a townhouse that I was targeting with someone. But you can just see these price points, like 2005, it was still 386, right? In 2024, you have a sale of 325, 800 square foot. You scroll down here, this is a 1400 square foot, so it's obviously double. But at the same time, like, there was a lot of examples like this that I've experienced through my career that is just mind blowing, right? I'm in a detached house purchased in 2020. It's due for renewal in 2025. I hope the rates go down. I want to upgrade and get a bigger property. Is this the right time, or should we wait? Bro, love the question. At the end of the day, it comes down to your personal situation, right? At the end of the day, it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Are you a move up buyer, a move down buyer? Are you leaving the city? You say you want to upgrade. So at the end of the day, it also depends on when your renewal is in 2025. So let me just think about that for a sec. Purchase in 2020, renewals in 2025. I hope the rates go down. Absolutely. I want to upgrade and get a bigger property. Is this the right time, or should we wait? I mean, if your renewal's in 2025, honestly, bro, I would just wait, right? At the end of the day, it makes more sense to just kind of wait to a little bit of a closer of the renewal time. But we also need to think about how much these price points are going to increase in 2025, right? Right now, we are not expecting pricing to go up too dramatically. We'll probably see like another 3 to 6% increase, but the rates will drop. So your buying power will increase, but the pricing will most likely go up. So like I said before, timing the market is very, very difficult. So if you're looking for that bigger, perfect property, then getting your home ready to list right away, and then actually having all of the information put into one area and finding that right home and then allowing you to list that property ASAP could be a strategy, right? Kind of wait it out a little bit, find that property that you want, try to have a little bit of a longer condition period, and then list that property. Or try to list that property when you're ready, have a longer possession date, but then you're on a timeline and a little bit more stress to find that one property. So a lot of different strategies that you could think about and go through, but book a call, brother. If you want to have these conversations, we got to dive into the community, what exactly you're looking for, and kind of some timelines for your comfort level. Cool. Let's continue on with these apartments. Thanks for the question. Really appreciate it. Ask more questions. Okay, where were we at with apartments? Open this up here. Live time. We're 40 minutes in. That's nuts. I can easily bang through 60 minutes. This is awesome. Let's see what we got here. Nice. Okay. Comment, let me know, is this music too loud? Is it too quiet? I love it. I think this is such a catchy tune. Shout out to StreamYard for allowing this to happen. So apartments, let's go look at months of supply. Okay. So if we look at the apartments right here, we're only looking at this section here. So you can see that Northeast has quite a bit of supply, right? We're over 3 months of supply in Northeast. So buyers in Northeast, absolutely going to benefit. Sellers in Northeast, I got a couple listings personally in Northeast. It's a grind. I have a newer construction unit, and we put it on the market as fast as we could. We put it on a price that we thought was aggressive, and it didn't sell, right? It didn't sell. It's about 20, 30 days. And if you go look at that building, right? You know what? Let's just do it. Let's just look at that building. let's look at that building right now. 60. Let's look at that building together. This is the whole point. This is why I love these calls. This is fantastic, right? I am fully in the rules of the Calgary Real Estate Board because I am not sharing any MLS numbers or any addresses, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about what is going on in this building, right? You investors out there that want to buy all of these products, you want to buy all of this new construction, you want to just go in and soak up everything, right? Look at what happened here. Look at this new construction home that came on the market and look at all these listings and look at how many sales. Okay. Now, shout out to me, shout out to myself for, let's see. Oh, I can't even show it. Okay. Never mind. Don't shout out to me. No shout out for me. But we are going through this real situation where we have a lot of product in this specific home, right? There's specific complex. So if you're getting into a new construction, you better look at that price point and consider how many units are going to come on the market, because you do not want to be one of these 25 listings right now, 24 listings, because in the last history, this is not 0 to 30 or 0 to 90. In the entire history of this complex, there's been 3 sales. Okay. So if you're a new construction investor and you want to go out and you want to buy properties, please look at this and remember this. Okay. This is super, super important for you to remember. Oh, I got it. Okay. What will the year end like? Be more specific, brother. If you want to ask that question more specifically, get granular, let's ask that. So let's continue on. Apartments. Boom. Man, I'm enjoying this. This is actually sick. Okay, cool. Apartments, right? Same thing. Seeing some decreases, right? We're still, look at all of the last 3 years, right? We saw a huge shoot up in 2022, and it's been basically steady between 8% all the way going up to 18%. And it is now starting to slow down a little bit, right? We got a lot of inventory in this market. You should make a chart to compare house price versus equivalent ounce of gold. The truth is, value of real estate assets actually went down if you believe in gold over the printed currency. Fair enough, man. Simon, that's a solid statement. And that's not bad. that's not bad. I don't really follow gold, to be honest. I'm not really into that kind of world. I'm more in the real estate thing. My whole goal, my whole niche here is to just kind of follow the real estate market in Calgary, really understand where the market's going, how to help people buy, sell, and invest. But that is not a bad thought process. I wonder if I could reach out to one of my VAs and see if I could create something like that. But that is like a whole nother realm of different stuff. So let's see what we got here. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Condos. Look at this. Boom. Look at that. Right? We went from like 250,000 to like 350,000. We increased 100K in benchmark price in Calgary in 2.5 years. Like, that's insane. When you look at some of these numbers, remember when I just pulled up that building with the history of like 2017, 2018, the amount of investors that purchased product in like 2012, 2013, and then rode out that wave until now, is impressive. And a lot of them actually went on the market and sold their product as soon as they saw that the home prices were finally at what they were at 2013. It was one of a bigger piece of my pies in 2022, early 2023. A lot of investors were like, hell yeah, let's sell, move on. That's it. So for those of you who actually stuck it through all the way, good on you. So let's go on here. I don't know, should I go over 60 minutes? Like, I was kind of just thinking 60 minutes, but now I'm like kind of rocking here. No one ever commented about the music, by the way. Is this music, like, do you even hear the music? Like, should I turn the music up? I'm going to turn it up, and I'm going to wait till someone complains that the music's too loud. I turned it up. I'm going to turn it up even more so someone complains about it. Okay, we're going back. I'm really jamming out to this little riff, by the way. Okay, cool. Let's continue on. Apartments. Right, we're already at 40 minutes. All right, we still got townhouses and semis. Probably not going to touch on semis, to be honest with you. But let's touch on townhouses. Townhouses is pretty intense. It's awesome. Pretty exciting things going on with the townhouse market. So, how do you like this view? How do you like that view? Good thing at the beginning of the call, I talked on this view for like 8 minutes and didn't even share my screen. So, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, like I don't want to get on live because I'm going to make mistakes. I make mistakes too. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, look at that. Boom. Citywide, we're seeing some pretty gnarly increases in inventory, right? Again, look at the sales versus inventory for 5 months straight. I was like, townhouses are going to explode. We're going to get to 700,000 in like 3 years. Absolutely guaranteed, right? I'm still in the mindset that we're probably going to see some pretty large decreases going into 2025, especially with this rate reduction. Okay, so let's talk about that. We saw townhouse benchmark price 461. Okay, we are at we dropped down 0.25, right? You're saving $61. You're seeing an increase of around $12,000, right? I didn't even touch on like the 10% of the 20% down payment, but like, you can just read this for yourself. If we would have seen a 0.5% decrease, right? Again, I'm very confident that we would see a massive frenzy of people coming into the market. I've got 17 viewers and not one of you has commented about the music. So like, I don't know what's going on here, but I would love for someone to let me know how loud this is. Like, do you even hear it? Like, is it even playing? Because I hear it. So let's continue on. Waiting for that comment, man. Waiting for that comment. Okay. It could be a delay too. So I mean, maybe you did comment. Okay, let's. We got another one here. The music is good, fine. Thank you, brother. I'm looking to purchase a condo by 2025 for investment purposes. Which area will be a better investment, downtown or southeast Calgary? Oh, that's a good question, brother. Yeah. So depends on your price point, depends what you want to get, right? If you're looking at like 1960s, 1970s, you're okay with an older condo that actually has a little bit of, a little bit of character to it. It's got a really well-run condo board, then absolutely, I would consider the city center, because you can still find some pretty good, pretty well-run condos downtown Calgary, but not everyone wants that 1960s to 1970s, 1980s. I would personally be looking for a condo that doesn't have an elevator. I would be looking at an older, like 60s to 80s condo that doesn't have an elevator, because that saves a lot of money in terms of the condo fees, as well as like you don't have to have a big reserve, you don't have maintenance on that thing. But if you want a newer condo, right, and you're okay with paying a little bit more of a premium price for that newer condo, the Southeast is going to absolutely boom. There's some controversy right now going on with the the Green Line. There's a lot of talks with, who's paying for what, how much the province is going to pay, how much the city's going to pay. So there's like massive negotiations right there. But at the same time, there will be a Green Line going down to the Southeast before it goes north. So if you're thinking playing the long-term game and you want to get into like a newer kind of exciting area that has good direct transit to downtown, hopefully increasing in value year over year because it has a lot of good things going for it. Hospitals, schools, amenities, basically going to be like a little downtown of its own. Southeast is perfect, right? I think Southeast is great. I would just try to concentrate on something that has a little bit more walkability than others, right? Because in Southeast right now, you can get some pretty nice product a little bit further away from the amenities, but at the same time, walkability is important. I don't know where I was actually going with that train of thought, but that's kind of my thought process. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you want to continue on and ask more questions, by all means, I am for it. So townhouses, kind of go back to it. So a huge influx of townhouse sales in 2022. We're still seeing large increases in the townhouse sales market. We're actually, this is our new normal, right? The amount of activity in this market is probably our new normal. I don't foresee us going back to this anytime soon, unless there is a pretty large conflict, pretty large political decision, or some sort of issue that causes Calgary to have a mass exodus, right? I don't really think that we're going to go back into those days. Okay, let's continue on. New listings, right? We're seeing some new listings here. We're seeing some increases. 2022, again, crazy year, but 2024 is where we need to concentrate. So we're still seeing a nice, healthy amount of new listings, but those new listings is only as important as the months of supply. So let's look at this. So this line here is 2.5. So let's zoom in. So the highest, slowest market is actually Calgary North, which is kind of crazy to me because Calgary North is relatively affordable compared to other quadrants in the city, but they have a lot of inventory. So when you look at the Sage Hills, the Evanstons, the the Carringtons, there's a lot of new product in that area, which is pushing up that months of supply, right? So when you start to think about that, that is probably what's adding on to the inventory. So, just because it's a slower market, it might not be a slower market for you because it's a newer product, it's probably more expensive, and it might not be within your personal budget. So it's very important to remember that, okay? We're still seeing East Calgary is like on fire, 1 month of supply, a lot of really fast movement, things that are listed are selling. Obviously, East Calgary doesn't have as many sales as other quadrants, but it's still very, very fast. Southeast, west, and what one is that? Northwest are all under a month and a half, right? So they're still seeing a lot of favoritism for the seller. So just remember that when you're getting into the market, right? This is only as important as, again, I'm going to say this multiple times, this is only as important as looking at your district, right? Or sorry, your community. So yeah, of course, we're seeing a slowdown, right, of things, but is it a slowdown throughout the entire quadrant itself, right? So if we just go subdivision name, right, we'll just go to a random subdivision. Let's go Edgemont, okay, right? In the last 45 days, every home has sold in Edgemont. Got one new listing that is priced at 2 days. It's been on the market for 2 days, right? It looks like it's actually one of the most expensive that we've seen in the last 45 days, but Edgemont in the townhouse market is still quite hot, right? It's a 4-bed, 4-bath, so it's actually quite a bit more favorable for a family, right? So this is probably going to sell, even though that the quadrant is at 1.5 months. this home in Edgemont is probably going to sell relatively quick, right? Keep that in mind. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, thanks for the follow, brother. Oh, wow, you can see if people follow you, eh? That's pretty cool. Lots of thumbs up from Instagram, so thank you to you guys. Okay, let's continue on. Look at the sharp decrease. Look at that. Gnarly. So I would imagine that the townhouse market's going to slow, but I just don't think it's going to slow down and see the negatives. I really don't see negative year-over-year price changes in Calgary, okay? We did dip down before, right? And then we shot right back up. Are we going to see that aggressive of an increase in the townhouse market? I would think so. I would say, yeah. I would say, yeah, we could probably see that aggressive increase in townhouses. They are still affordable, right? They're the entry level now for people, right? Townhouses are now like $450 to $600, right? For a nice townhouse, a comfortable townhouse, a single car garage or a double car garage tandem. I would have to argue that if we see some pretty crazy decreases in the benchmark price, the townhouse market is probably going to see the biggest increase. Now, that's my personal view. If you don't believe that, argue me and have a conversation. Let's talk about that, see why you think that is. But that's my perception, right? Look at this. Increase, flatline. Increase, no flatline. Small little correction there over like 1 month, but it just shot up again, right? I would imagine we're probably going to see some sort of flatlining here. Increase, most likely. Again, we have to see some sort of large change in our economy or some sort of large change in Calgary for me to think any differently. We're still very affordable compared to other areas. Our lifestyle is quite good, but I am very excited to see how many people actually still stay after our winters, right? Cold, dry, lots of snow, lots of sun, lots of snow. So let's just keep that in mind to see how many people actually stay around here. So that's the high level, right? I'm not going to touch on semis. Semis are in their own world. I kind of say that every single month, but let's look at some news articles here. Okay, so let me just go through here. I'm really digging music. No one's complained about the music yet, so I'm turning it up. Yeah, I'm just like I'm pushing people to comment. Okay, let's talk about some news articles. Look at this one. This one's kind of cool. This one's really cool, actually. Let's try this view. Let's go to this side here. I want to try this view here. And I'm going to switch up this to this. And that's a little small, but whatever. Okay. Who remembers a hailstorm? That was pretty wild. Hailstorm in North Calgary that just wrecked a bunch of houses. Did you ever go up Mady Trail and look at some of those homes? Look at this, perfect. Look at the video. That was actually ideal timing. Saying that. 2.8 billion in damage. That was pretty wild. So I saw that news article. Thought that was cool. Thought I would bring that up because it's pretty intense. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so let's talk about some things, right? I'm going to kind of go down some rabbit holes here. Try to keep a high level, but just talk about some certain things, okay? So remember in 2022, we talked about that mass increase of price, right? So if I just go like this, right? Look at the increase in interest rate in 2022, right? So when we start to see those stats of the slowdown, they had a 50 basis point increase from June to July, right? Then they had was that 75 basis point? Oh, that was a full point. So they had a full point increase, and then a 75, and then a 50, and then a 50, then a 25, hold, 25, 25. Interest rates went nuts. And it definitely slowed down the Calgary real estate market a little bit, but then people came back to the market and they're like, hey, these prices are still very much affordable. I'm going to go ahead and purchase. Cool. I would imagine we're probably going to see some decreases here. I would love to see a 50 point decrease, but I just don't see it happening. Okay, we're at 58 minutes. We're probably going to go over an hour today. Is what it is. Sorry. I was hoping for more conversation, but not a lot of people wanted to talk. Oh, my boy Tyler's on IG. Hope all is well, Ty. Calgary's annual rent prices decreased slightly for the first time in more than 3 years. Holy. So that new build construction home that I talked about and we looked at on the MLS together not too long ago, which I brought up here, that home, I actually recommended that it go on the MLS, right? Or sorry, on the rental market, because there was a lot of competition. So we were going to have to do some price reduction. So as a realtor, as a professional who actually looks after my clients, I actually made like a firm case that they should consider going on the rental market. But when talking to the property manager that they have hired, they also said that they are now offering like 1 month free rent, right? Because the inventory has increased so much in the rental market. So pretty crazy stuff. Calgary in general is slowing down. I think it's a good thing personally. It's nice to see some easing. There's a lot of professions that were like full 100% tilt over the last little while. So just good to see a little bit of relaxation here. See if there's any numbers here that we can chat about. I did look this up real quick. The construction, right? In the first 6 months of the year, construction began on another almost 11,000 homes, up 36% from the same period last month. That was purpose-built rentals. Okay, not going to talk on that. Housing starts, though. This is interesting, right? I'm going to talk about a couple things on this one. Inventory, we're seeing some inventory increases all throughout the city, right? We're also seeing a huge boom in condos, right? This is actually a development that's quite close to where I live. So if you know what that is, shout out. We're seeing a huge number of condos. Now, the one thing that I am slightly concerned with when it comes to the condo market is that when 5 to 10 new developments all open up in 1 year, it increases that inventory so dramatically, right? So the townhouse market, yes, I'm very confident it's going to see massive increases. But when it comes to the condo market, yeah, we're probably going to see some increases, don't get me wrong, but I would imagine at some point or another, we're going to hit that flat line and that's going to be our new base. And then we're going to have to go through another boom of some sort. Because look at Toronto. Toronto has 8 months of supply. Yes, of course. Condos are like 4 times more than what they are in Calgary. But they have so much inventory in that market now, and they're going to see some pretty gnarly decreases going into the winter, especially going into the spring. So keep an eye out for that. That can easily happen in Calgary. So many developers and people come in here and they're like, oh, the market's hot, it's gonna take off, we're gonna make a bunch of money. But then all of a sudden they saturate the market with a bunch of condos. So lots of interesting stuff here. By the way, for anyone who wants these news articles, let me know, because I have them all saved in this file here. Every single month, I'm going to bring up 5 or 6 new news articles and talk about them. So let's continue on. Yeah, there's a little heart. Cool. Okay. Construction intentions in Alberta through July. So I'm just going to kind of jump down this chart here, right? So we are seeing some increases in building permits, and there's a lot of news articles that I see like year-over-year growth, like massive 40% increases. Awesome. But like if you look at years past, value of residential building permits, this is actually so perfect. I didn't even plan on this. 2013 and 2014 were super hot years in Calgary. Okay. There's a lot of people like moving to Calgary, oil, gas. There's a lot of things going on in the Alberta market in 2012 to 2013. We saw some blips from the financial crisis, but we kind of pushed through that quite easily because of the oil and gas boom that we had. There was a lot of developers looking at making developments in 2012, right? 2011, but they didn't finish 2018, right? So a lot of these things actually closed after the oil crash, right? So then they had to stagger the possession so they don't oversaturate the market. And if we remember some of the charts that we looked at, there was there was a huge lack of sales over the 2018 era. And a lot of those original decisions were before 2013, 2014. So let's just remember that when we're kind of looking at these things and thinking about how much inventory is going to be brought up into our market and if we're going to see any shifts going into the future. This is kind of cool. Oil and gas spending in Canada. Now we have a new a pipeline that has been built, right? Twinning. So this 24/7, which used to be the the owl from ATB. Oil production and oil exports are hitting new records every single month, just because we now have double the transportation of that oil. So when we look down here, right, oil and gas extraction, capital expenditures, it's great to see that we're actually getting back to that expenditure, research, investment, looking for new stuff, right? You can see 2013, right? We had some pretty big investments, and then boom, right down to 2020. And then, whatever happened in 2020, people started highlighting Calgary. There's some political things in play there as well. And now we're starting to see that increase. And I would imagine we're going to continue to see oil capital expenditures continue to grow as Alberta continues to boom. Let's move on here. I'm losing viewers. Obviously, it's been quite some time. It's been over an hour. It's nuts. Resource sector pulling its weight in employment. So let's just actually look at this. This is quite an interesting chart, right? So we're starting to see some employment growth in Alberta. If you're looking for a job, go in forestry, mining, oil and gas, right? There's so many people that have moved here from different places around the world that are looking for like professional services or like scientific services or finance and real estate or transportation. Like these things are growing, don't get me wrong, but they're not growing as fast as business and other support services or forestry, mining, and oil and gas, right? Like, yes, the unemployment rate, which is right here in Canada, is increasing quite a bit, but there are still jobs out there. You just got to go find them, right? There's still opportunities for you to go and work, but you need to put in the effort and actually go and do these things yourself. So in conclusion, after 1 hour of talking to myself, basically, Calgary's going to see some growth in 2025, right? I'm pretty sure Alberta's going to see some growth going into 2030, right? I think there's going to be a lot of people that come here, that want to start a life here, that enjoy it here. So if you have any questions and you want to go ahead and, book a call, talk about things, and go over your personal situation, just text me, right? Really easy to talk to. My phone's on Do Not Disturb right now, so I'm not going to see that. But if you want to go ahead and have a conversation about how all of this information can better reflect your personal situation, the number's right here. So thank you for everyone. This is the first time I've ever done this. This is actually, I flew through that with flying colors. So appreciate you. Love all y'all. Thank you for the support. If you have any questions, reach out. We'll see you next month on the 14th at 6 p.m. Peace.